What is going on? Today I'm going to show you guys how to make the protein cheesecake or the oat loaf. Let's get right to it. So I have a couple of videos on this recipe on my channel, a couple of different iterations. Today I'm going to show you how you can make the protein cheesecake, a little bit of a lower calorie option, great for meal prep. If you eat it cold, it's cheesecake, and I'll show you why. If you have it warm, it's the oat loaf, which is a little bit more like French toast, but let's get right to it. So first thing you're gonna need is one of these Snapware 8.5 cup containers. I've used larger containers and it just doesn't come out right, doesn't cook right. So I like these. You can get them on Amazon, get 2 or 3 of them in a pack for like 15 bucks or so. Well worth it. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to be having the apple cheesecake version, okay? Apple cinnamon, so it's a little bit more like apple pie. You can make this with strawberries, that's excellent. Blueberries, whatever you want, or a mix. You want to put your fruit at the bottom of this container, okay? Because basically I'll take our mix of oats, eggs, and whatnot that I'm going to show you later, pour it into this container, and I'm going to bake it, and then we're going to dump it out and flip it over. So you want your fruit on top, all right? So we'll get right to it, and like I said, I'm going to explain it as we go. So I'm going to take a little bit of Pam spray. I'm going to spray the bottom of this container because I don't want my cheesecake to stick to the container. I have a bunch of sliced up apples here, and I'm just going to plop them in here. Again, you could use whatever fruit you want. This apple is nice and convenient today, so I got a bunch of that in here. I'm actually going to throw in a dash of cinnamon at the bottom of this container as well. And I'm going to set this aside for a minute. One of the key ingredients is oats. And what I like to do is blend up these oats in a blender to make oat flour. So I'm going to weigh out 60 grams. I'm using the rule of 60s for a protein cheesecake. That's the trick for this because we're using oats, cottage cheese, egg whites, a whole egg. I've got a little bit of almond milk, and I got some protein powder and a couple other whatnots. But for the most part, oats, egg whites, cottage cheese, and I got some sliced up banana right here. 60 grams of each. Keep it simple. So weighing out 60 grams, got this on my food scale. And I am going to put this on my blender and blend it up and make some oat flour. That's it. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just want to get some oat flour going on here. The next thing I'm going to do is add some baking powder and cake batter extract. You can use vanilla extract, just some kind of extract is a key ingredient. It really helps the taste. Think of like if you're making some cookies or a pie or something, like you would use that, especially for cookies, right? And it'll give it a good taste. So got my oat flour here, 1/8 teaspoon of baking powder, double acting. 1/8 teaspoon of this cake batter extract. This is going in the sink so I can wash it later. I'm going to add in my 60 grams of bananas. These were bananas that I sliced up and froze. And I use them for the Coach Friend protein ice cream most of the time. But also use them for this, right? So cinnamon. Be generous with that. A little bit of nutmeg. I don't want to go too crazy with this, but just a little bit. And a little bit of salt to help it with cooking. Now I'm going to put in 60 grams of 1% low-fat cottage cheese. So I do not get the full-fat cottage cheese. I get the leaner protein source, you know. So it's a great source of protein. I'm getting about 6 grams of protein with this serving size, 60 grams, which is just over 2 ounces. So I want to put that in there. 60 grams of liquid egg whites. You can use egg beaters as well. 1 whole egg. We're using a green egg today. You don't have to weigh out the whole egg. I just got this on the scale, so I will. Typically, 1 whole egg is one large egg is gonna weigh about 50 grams, which this one weighs 50 grams right on the dot. All right, I'm gonna throw this away. I'm gonna add in 40 grams of low fat, just almond milk, okay? Unsweetened almond milk. This is going to help with the consistency because you want to have that cheesecake texture. This will help. I'm sure regular milk would work just fine. What I do is I'll also add in like 30 to 40 grams of water, so about 3 ounces of this extra fluid to help with that texture, okay? If you use too much, it won't cook right. It'll be like half raw, half cooked. But if you don't use enough, it'll be like a brick, okay? And I've had to learn that the hard way. And then I'm going to add just 5 grams of chocolate protein powder, okay? This is a weight isolate. 1 scoop is 34 grams, would be 25 grams of protein. So I'm using like about 1/5 of a scoop. And you can use more. It's just, again, if you use too much, it will start to bake in such a way that like the outside of the loaf will get cooked, but the inside is runny, whatever. So if you want to have like 10 grams, 15 grams, go for it. Or if you want to do a full scoop, be my guest, right? That way you can really jack this thing up with protein. You can get a good 60, 70 grams of protein in this pretty easily, okay? Between the egg white, cottage cheese, protein powder. What I'm going to do now is put on my lid, and then we're going to blend this for a while. So I'm not going to rush it. I'm going to start blending, and I'm going to let it go, all right? And I'll put it on a high setting and let it do its thing. Okay, that should be good. What I'm going to do now is take this lid off and show you here is our mix. And I am just going to pour this in our container that has the apples, all right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bake this in the microwave, okay? So I'm going to pour it all in there and put a splash of cinnamon over the top. And this could be prepped easily, guys. I mean, you could prep like 3 of these for meal prep for a few days. And it's not that hard to do because I don't have to worry about making an omelet and sauteing any veggies or anything like that. But I'm going to show you this, and I'm going to pop it in the microwave. So here we go. We got our mixture in this container, and we're going to put it in the microwave. So here we go, putting this in there. And for my specific microwave, this container, this portion amount, I found that like 6.5 minutes is perfect. Again, your miles may vary. Your microwave may have a different strength, that sort of thing. I just found this container, the amount of mix I'm using, it'll cook perfectly where you want it to be, just slightly soft in the middle, a little bit raw almost. Because I'm gonna put this in the refrigerator for a few hours or overnight, whatever. It will set up just like a cheesecake. If I wanted to eat it warm, what I would do is probably cook it for about 7 minutes, and then I would take it out, dump it out, flip it over onto a plate, put it back in the microwave, and cook it for another 2 to 3 minutes. That way it will cook evenly, have a perfect texture, and taste like French toast when eaten warm. It tastes awesome warm, and I'm tempted to eat it warm because while I cook this, it makes my whole place smell like a bakery. You will also see I have some sugar-free maple syrup here and a packet of stevia. What I'm going to do is put a little bit of this in a container, take the cheesecake, which is in the microwave, which I'll put in the refrigerator, have it in my container, have some syrup in a container. When I go to eat it, I'll sprinkle a little bit of syrup. I'll use 1 ounce and a packet of stevia over the top. Tastes excellent. I'm meal prepping some rice, by the way, and it's almost done. But as we get closer to this cake being done, you can see as it's cooking that it's puffing up a little bit. The baking powder will help it do that. It's a very important ingredient. Cottage cheese, if you use more cottage cheese, it probably will come out even better, more fluffier, right? More like a cake, which is what we're going for. And it should be just about perfect when 6.5 minutes is up. 3, 2, 1, and here we go. I'm gonna pop this guy out of here. And here is our loaf, guys. So, this is excellent eating warm. Like I said, if I were to eat it now, I would dump it over, all right, onto a plate, cook it for another 2 to 3 minutes. But you see it's pretty soft in the middle. That's perfect, but it's solidified on the edges. It's not like a brick on the outside. It's good enough so that I could put it in the refrigerator, all right, cover it up, and then in a few hours or overnight, it will solidify. What I'm gonna do is dump it out, cut it into a few pieces, and we'll be just about done. Okay, final step. The cheesecake has been in the refrigerator overnight, and we're gonna dump it out and finish it up. If there's any condensation or like water around the edge that you notice, that's fine, just dump it out. Now what I'm gonna do is perfect this. Okay, so we're gonna take this guy out. All right, I sprayed the pan or container here earlier, a microwave safe container, so that it wouldn't stick, but just wanna make sure this is all loosened up around the edges. And then we're just gonna simply plop this guy out. There we go. All right, so here's our cheesecake. What I'm gonna do now is slice this up into little pieces, just like a cheesecake, right? Just like so. Gotta cut them into triangles, of course. And then I'm gonna put this back in my container, all right? So I'll take our first one, put it in. Take our next one, put her in. Finally, this last piece. There we go, and look at that texture, guys. That's perfect, just like a cheesecake, right? Now, to perfect this, we're gonna put in 10 grams of Cool Whip over the top, right? So I'm gonna account for the calories there, about 2.5 or 1.5 grams of fat. All right, putting this on the food scale, hitting the tare button, zeroing it out. It's gonna put on a little bit of this Cool Whip. All right, we're gonna get this distributed a little bit on each piece, all right? There we go, close enough. And I'm gonna put this back in the refrigerator. What I'm gonna do before I eat it is I'll spread a Cool Whip around a little bit, pour on the syrup, mix with the cinnamon, the apples. It's gonna taste simply fantastic, kind of like a Belgian waffle in a way, but it's cheesecake. I don't know, it's just protein goodness, guys. So why make your oats and eggs boring when you can have cheesecake? So that's it, guys. Now I gotta clean my kitchen, but that's how you make the oat loaf or the protein cheesecake. If you give this a try, let me know below what you think. If you did any variation, any changes, got a little experimental with things, again, let me know what you did, okay? I've made it a bunch of different ways. I've even made it with pumpkin before. Short people problems. Just take some pumpkin and you could blend it into your mix like a pumpkin pie. That sounds really good. I may do that next time, actually. Good for the fall, right? So whatever you do, give this recipe a shot. Let me know what you think. You will not be disappointed and you will enjoy oats and eggs and egg whites again, all right? Macros are on the screen. My rice is done, so I'm gonna go tend to that. Leave a like, comment, all the good stuff. Take care.